And good evening, everybody, and welcome. It is Hawk Talk. We're back with you again. Jack Benedict here at the Hilton Garden Inn, along with Coach Paul Tortorella. We have a special guest coming up a little bit later on. You'll want to stick around for that. We're going to talk IUP football. Glad to have you along with us. Maybe you were at the game on Saturday. A lot of people were there. It was a great crowd. Good weather, and a nice day for the Crimson Hawks to go 3-0, defeating Mercyhurst by a score of 33-16. It was also family weekend, Hall of Fame weekend, all in all. Coach, it turned out to be a pretty good day. Yeah,
it was. All the events surrounding the game and the weather and obviously getting the win made it a real nice day.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the game itself and taking a look at, I looked at the final stats, and the combination of rushes and passing, a big difference there. You had the running game going, so I thought, if it's going to work, why not? Let's use it. 51 times you rushed the football, only threw it 15. Was that by design before the game?
Well, historically, we've had a lot of success running the ball against that 3-3 defense of Mercyhurst. And they came out, and their plan was to sit in that defense and make us run the ball. They wanted to stop the pass. They were doubling Dwayne. They had two high safeties. They were playing real deep in the secondary, almost daring us to run the ball. So we basically had a soft box, and that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, it was a really interesting first quarter. I put it that way. It was probably different for you. Field goal, 2 interceptions by them. Defense, IUP holds on the defense, got the ball back, and then, Mercyhurst gets a touchdown. And so there was a little bit of everything, and it didn't start out the way you wanted it to through the air. So it was luckily that you had the ground game going that day.
Right. They, we had a miscommunication on our first interception. And then the second interception, we just forced the ball into double coverage. It was a bad read by Mack. In both of those situations, sudden change, the defense went out and stopped them. 3 and out on both of them, actually, so that was huge. The first 4 times Mercyhurst had the ball, they had great field position. They ran back a kick to the 41, and then the next time we got a penalty on a kick coverage. It's the first time in the history of football kickoff coverage team gets called for defensive holding. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Has anybody ever heard of that?
Well, so anyway, they had the ball 4 times around the 50-yard line. The first 4 times Mercyhurst had the ball. So they had great field position, and we blew a coverage on third down, or we don't give up any points in those 4 situations. Like I said, the 2 sudden changes, we stopped them. We had them 3rd and 8. We miscommunicated on a coverage and blew the coverage, and the guy got behind us into the boundary because we didn't have anybody in the deep third. And so they scored their touchdown, and, we were down 7-3, but we got it going, got the run game going, went up 13-7 at halftime. They scored, obviously, beginning of the second half. They had a field goal, made it 13-10, and then we kind of took the game over from there.
Second half, yeah. The 96-yard drive had to really do something for you, give you a lot of confidence.
Well, at that point, we were losing 7-3, and they had 4 times they had the ball with great field position, and now we're on our own 4-yard line, and we go 96 yards. So that kind of tipped the momentum in our favor. Our one-on-ones, safeties. So we weren't going to.
Jack Benedict back with you live with Coach Paul Tortorella. It's called Hawk Talk. We talk IUP football, and the Crimson Hawks now with a 3-0 record. Mercyhurst with a loss drops to 2-2. Slippery Rock, nationally ranked, undefeated. They're in town Saturday for homecoming and a 2 o'clock kickoff. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Well, I look again, Coach, penalties. 8-2 for a while. Maybe the entire first half. I don't think Mercyhurst had any. And
no, they didn't have a penalty until 7 minutes to go in the game.
In the game itself.
So, I don't know. I kind of find it hard to believe a team that's losing by 3 touchdowns can go 3.5 quarters without getting a penalty. I mean,
it's strange, isn't it?
That's just a fact.
Just
I don't
like
know.
A holding call on the kickoff.
So, it is what it is. I could sit here and point out numerous 2 of their catches, their last touchdowns, they didn't catch it in bounds. The guy bobbled it. He's out of the end zone. The catch on their sideline on that drive, the ball's on the track. It's not a catch. And if you look at one of their assistant coaches on the sideline, he's reacting like.
Is that right?
And they still called it a catch. So, but, it is what it is. A couple of our penalties were avoidable. I didn't have any problem with the calls against us, other than the defensive holding on the kickoff coverage. The other penalties, the pass interference, the roughing the passer, they scored a touchdown on it. I've seen way worse, but they called it. Frankly, I was not very happy with the officiating in regards to some of the things that Mercyhurst did and was getting away with, and we weren't getting any calls. And a couple passes that weren't completions were ruled completions. But like I tell the kids, control what you can control. Don't let it frustrate you. Play the game, play the next play. Coaches coach, players play, officials officiate. And that's the end of the day.
Hope for the best, yeah. Well, I had to bring up Kalen Frazier. I thought he was going for 2 points like everybody else was on the block. Explain that to me. This happened around midfield, block in the back, 40-yard line, whatever. They were going to catch him.
Exactly. We made a bad decision. Their holder was not going to catch Frazier. So, unfortunately, we had a player that thought he might catch Frazier and went to block him, and he did hit. It was a clip. It wasn't right in the back. It was close to the shoulder, and of course our guy comes over and says, "I got my head in front. I didn't hit him in the back." The usual blah blah blah. But even from the sideline, it looked like he did clip him, and he did. But he didn't. The issue is he didn't have to do anything. All he had to do was just let the guy go, and he was not going to catch Frazier.
No.
Their holder wasn't going to catch Frazier. So we lost 2 points there, obviously.
Exactly, yeah. I was going to bring up, the running game. You're developing depth at the running back, and you haven't even had the availability of Adam Hauser with Dejour, who's going to come in here in just a little while and talk with us. And then you got the 2 freshmen that you're incorporating in, Parker Gregg. And also
Younger.
Cooper, yep.
And Younger, and then you got Cooper Guy as a fullback.
Cooper Guy, yeah. Younger.
So there's Dejour there. So
yeah,
we had Dejour played obviously, and then the other 2 running backs were true freshmen, and our fullback, because Suman was out, was a true freshman. So other than Dejour, everybody that was in the backfield Saturday was a true freshman.
I don't know if you could have planned that any better.
Well, it helps when that guy gets 260 yards, and then Younger had 90.
Yes, here's a guy that he had a 7.6 average, 91 yards on 12 carries. So he was a defensive player. You know what it reminded me of? Back when, didn't you guys have Chris Morgan as a D player?
Yeah, he was
before?
at the game Saturday. I talked to him after the game.
Same deal.
Yeah, but Chris played defensive back his whole freshman year.
That's true. That's right.
Then we moved him to running back as a sophomore.
Yeah.
Because we had Mike Jamison was our tailback. So Chris we could get him on the field starting as a defensive back. He was going to be back in those days, the backup tailback didn't get the ball like they do now. Like, Mike Jamison carried the ball 30 times a game.
Yeah.
He that's just the way it was out of the eye. So we didn't move Chris until after his freshman year, but Younger, out of necessity, we moved him 3 days before the opener. And with Hauser being down, and we started using Carter a little at running back, and then he went down, Younger, within 3 days, became the number 2 running back. And remember, at East Stroudsburg, Dejour was sick, and he didn't even make the trip.
Right, yes.
So if this guy would have stayed on defense, he'd probably be playing a couple special teams plays here and there and wouldn't be starting on defense. So he's getting a lot of work. He's our number 2 running back.
Yeah. I guess you had to have an idea when he played in high school that he had the athleticism. And these players in high school, they can go both ways, and then you find out where their strength is.
Sure.
Obviously, he's a tough runner.
Yeah, he was a good running back in high school. He had over 1,000 yards in 6A football at Central Catholic. He just wanted to be a defensive back. I mean, we probably would have recruited him as a running back, because we didn't have any freshman running backs. We didn't sign any freshman running backs. But in the back of my mind, when we signed him, I was thinking, well, he could also play running back for us. So when I brought up the suggestion that week for the East Stroudsburg game, everything kind of came together. Hauser, unfortunately, got hurt. Dejour got sick. So luckily we moved him to running back. And then Carter got hurt in the game.
Yeah.
So technically going into practice that week, he was our fourth running back. Dejour got sick. Hauser got hurt in the first quarter. Carter got hurt in the first quarter. He went from our fourth running back against East Stroudsburg to number one.
Oh, number one, yeah, because Dejour wasn't there.
Dejour wasn't there.
Was it the intention, Geyer and Greg, are they walk-ons?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty good to make,
they're both
make the varsity in your first year.
They were very productive in high school, both of them. And they're from local guys, and they love IUP, and they wanted to be here. And like I say with a lot of guys like that, when you come here and you perform, you're eventually going to, go on, get some type of scholarship or get taken care of. It just happens all the time. I didn't know if it would happen as quick as it's happened. They're both playing as true freshmen, and they're both great kids, very smart, great students, real tough, just hard-nosed kids, and they're kind of throwbacks, both of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you can notice that whenever you watch their play. Same with Biss on the defensive side, that type of throwback, old-time player. You just have to be excited with the way they move the ball on the ground. The offensive line, if you keep them healthy for the year, is a veteran group that I don't know, backup-wise, you've got a couple of guys maybe here and there, but they're also the backup guys on the offensive line. A lot of the freshmen, aren't they? Yeah.
Well, we got Chad Layton's the number one backup. He's a sophomore. Santiago's the next backup. He's a sophomore. Marshall's the next guy. He's a freshman. And we actually moved Stone Shoeguards over to offense last week just in case when Gerald was banged up, in case we needed another guard. We put Stone back on offense last week, but now he's returned to defense. So we were just trying to get people in the right spots in case we had more injuries. So that's how that kind of worked out.
Comedy would be your backup center, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He would play, well, actually probably Layton would be the backup center.
Okay.
Layton's really the backup at both guards and center. And Santiago and Marshall are the backups at tackle. So that's kind of where we sit right now.
Then you had an opportunity with the tight ends. Of course, Grant Smith has been back. Cole Laney got an opportunity.
Yeah, two third down catches. We were 5 for 5 on third down in the second half. We didn't punt the whole game. We didn't have one punt. We had 9 series, 6 of them we scored, the 2 interceptions, and then the 9th series we had the ball the last 6 minutes and ended the game with the ball. And we drove from, probably our 35 to their 20, and then the game ended. So it was a very productive 9 series.
You utilized a different, I called him a kicker offer, which is not a term, but Ian Anderson, the transfer who came in late from Cal U. How did you evaluate?
He did well. Kicking away from the scoreboard, you're kicking downwind, so we expect you to get the ball down there near the goal line. But his kicks into the wind towards the scoreboard, which is tough into the wind. The wind wasn't as bad as it could be, but it was still a decent wind. He was getting the ball down to the 5-4 yard line with good hang time and getting the ball placed where we needed it. So we expect him to kick well downwind, which he did. And we know we got to get a little give and take when we're kicking into the wind, but he did a pretty good job there too.
How about Nick Andresi, the freshman? You and I talked about on the pregame show in practice. He kicks a 52-yarder. And kicked a 42-yarder in this game. You think now you haven't had a long distance kicker, field goal kicker for quite a while. Looks like maybe he might be the guy.
Yeah. Well, we had a decision to make. We threw the ball on the out into the boundary that Ridley Hilton dropped, or we'd had a first down. So now it's 4th and 5 on the 25-yard line. So a lot of guys wanted to go for it, and I just felt like, no, let's kick the field goal. And Nick hit it. I mean, made it by 10 yards, and it was right down the middle.
Yeah. All right, we're going to be coming back with Player of the Week. Dejour Stewart is with us. He had a big game. Young man that we'll talk with and get some bio on him, and you can meet him up close and personal here in just a moment. Hawk Talk, we call it. We're live from the Hilton Garden Inn with Coach Paul Tortorella. This is Jack Benedict, and we'll be back on U92Radio.com and on YouTube on Renda Digital TV.
C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn is this area's best-kept secret. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, or for their post-game specials. Make your reservations for C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn at chfields.com. The Hilton Garden Inn is the preferred hotel of IUP Athletics. Located next to Miller Stadium and the KCAC, the Hilton Garden Inn is Indiana's newest and best hotel. Make your reservations today at hiltongardeninn.com.
Your home is you. It says who you are. For that difference you want, you don't have to look far.
Shop now for big savings. Visit Dow's of Plumville and Dow's of Greensburg.
Come and discover the Dow's difference. Doesn't your home deserve Dow's?
Everybody, it's Hawk Talk. We're live from the C.H. Craft Kitchen, C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen here at the Hilton Garden Inn. Jack Benedict with Coach Paul Tortorella and our special guest over here, this player of the game from Saturday's game, Dejour Stewart, is with us right now. Young man, welcome aboard. Good to have you on Hawk Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I'm gonna make you feel like you're something, because I'm gonna read your bio here for people that don't know, but. You came to IUP. You actually signed with Illinois State back in 2019, and then you got on to Fork Union Military Academy. Tell us about that and how you eventually wound up here.
Yeah, at first I was committed to Illinois State. It was a great opportunity. It was a fully blessing. My academics didn't work out towards the end of the semester. I didn't get accepted, so that following summer I got accepted to Fork Union Military Academy down in Virginia. Played there for a semester, and then had the opportunity to come to play for the Hawks, which is, I guess, the biggest blessing of them all.
Well, it's turned out well for the rest of us, that's for sure. Who recruited you here from IUP, and how'd you get here?
At first, during high school, I guess it was all the coaches at first came and visited me down at my high school, but then at Fork Union, Coach Barker came and recruited me from there.
Luke Barker. Okay. Now you were York Catholic, and in fact, I looked at your high school record. For fans that don't know, you set the York Adams League record. You had over 3,000 yards there, rushing 40 touchdowns. This was in your senior year, and actually became the 9th player in PIAA history with 3,000 yards. So you've been a running back from the beginning, huh?
Yeah, I've been a running back from the beginning since high school. But I played a couple other positions as well, but mainly running back.
I think you have 2 guys on your team that have rushed for over 400 yards in a game in high school. Dwayne Brown did it, didn't he?
Right, yep.
Well, okay. 463 yards against Northern York. You remember that game?
Yes, sir. It was raining. It was a bloodbath. It was a really good game.
So you got 463 yards in the rain?
Yeah.
I hope it was artificial turf.
Yeah, it was no.
It was natural grass.
It was a mud game, wasn't it? Was it?
Oh no, it was just turf. Yeah,
it was turf. Okay.
Turf field.
Game,
okay.
Yeah.
I remember one game you played. I saw on film. It was a mud game. I don't know how he did, but I remember watching him play a game in the mud.
Yeah. So. Tort, was he highly recruited?
Well, he was when he committed to Illinois State.
Yeah.
And Coach Smith's from York, so he knew about Dejour, and we recruit the 717 as hard as anywhere. Really, if you asked us, we got Western Pennsylvania kids, we got 717 kids, and we got kids from Philly. And then we got some others sprinkled in throughout the state, but it's really Western PA, 717, and Philly. And so he's in an area where we have had a lot of success, and I always say this, like, it's like a 90% hit rate with the 717 area code guys. Like, if we recruit 10 of them, 9 of them we're hitting on. They all are really good players. As a matter of fact, Takai Turner called me today. He's coming up for homecoming. He was from Susquehanna Township, which is in 7. He was a 4-year starter for us at defensive back. We got Fazell from the 717. So we've done well with that area. So the problem was he was going to go to Illinois State. So, we figured, well, let's see what happens, and if it doesn't work out there, we'll, work to get him as a transfer. Well, at the end of the year, he didn't quite qualify for Division I, and he went to Fork Union for a semester. And anybody that knows anything about Fork Union, it's great football, but, like, you don't want to be there very long because it's not – it's a little rough around the edges, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, when we got the mid-year to get him to come to IUP, how do I want to say it? He practically ran here because he wanted to get opportunity and wanted to. I'm sure he wasn't. They treated him well at Fork Union, but he wanted to kind of get on his journey and not be there for another semester, because if you're there for the spring, then you stay for the following fall season because you got nowhere to go. So he had to do something after that first semester at Fork Union.
Dejour, I got to tell you, the first time you came over to me, I think it was one of the early practices, and you had a different number now.
Oh, yeah.
You used to have 22.
Oh, yeah.
Larry Monsolovich's number.
Yeah.
And you had a different number 1, and you just look different. You lost how many pounds?
30 pounds.
30 pounds. So you're playing at what, 190, 195, or what?
It's like 200, 201.
Oh, is that right?
Between there.
Well, you look so much different. But so how has this been a blessing? Because, we knew you as more of a power back maybe earlier, but the speed and the agility that you're showing, has that really what's helped you out?
Yeah, in high school, I played at 190, so I had a lot of my speed. I still had a little bit of power still with that weight. So dropping down from 230 to 200, I feel like I got my speed back. I got the extra gear now, but I still feel like I still have that power to come behind my pad. So I feel like it really helped me this season.
So was that by your design or coach's design or a mutual agreement?
Mutual agreement, a little bit both. I feel like I took a little bit overboard. I wanted to come back at least 210 and keep some of my weight on me. Probably still have a little bit more power, but I feel like now to 200, I think it's doing okay.
You had COVID that first week, and of course you couldn't play. How'd you get your energy back? Because I know some people say they get zapped for quite a while after that.
Yeah, just taking meds and just sleeping it off, just laying in bed, just take care of my body, treatment, and just staying focused, just take care of my body, rehab.
Were you aware of any of the running backs' names that maybe have come about? Because you're like 6th all time with 256 yards. That's a lot of carries, 32 carries. Do you welcome that?
Yeah, I'll welcome it. I feel like Coach trusted me with the carries, and it all started with my line. My lines open up them big holes and having running lanes to get through it, and for me able to get to the second level and stuff, and having the receivers to finish off their block as well. So I feel like that helped a lot.
Well, like Coach and I talked about the offensive line, it's great to have all these guys back, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they know each other so well.
So much experience too in the front line, and they're physical. They're well guys. They're all good guys, and those are my dogs. So I love them to death. I appreciate them every time. So none of it's possible without them. So
yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup here this week with Slippery Rock. How aware are you? Of course, you've been here for a while, but of the IUP and Slippery Rock rivalry, which really has come about here in probably the last 10 years.
I know a little bit about it, but as we know, we go nameless faceless opponent every week, so we know it's a big game, but we try not to strive towards that. We try to just keep living in the rack and just keep working every day at practice, working on our fundamentals, not missing miscues, misassignments, and just keep working.
you and I alluded to a little bit about the atmosphere was so good. It was a great crowd. Of course, we had a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
But the band got involved, and I'm sure this helped the players out some.
Yeah, I would think so, because they were loud and they were playing the whole game in between plays, in between series, and you know, I had met the band director at a function this summer up on Philadelphia Street, and through passing, I heard him tell somebody, we're a football band. So I said, that's good to hear.
He wasn't directing that to you?
No, I think I was like eavesdropping on his conversation, to be honest with you. And I heard him say, we're a football band. So I put that, registered that in my cranium there. There's not much air to begin with. So I said, I like that. So when we came out to go on the field, he looked more fired. He looked as fired up as we were. Like he was there at where we were coming on, and at one point I was almost saying, "Hey, you better kind of get out of the way. These guys might run you over." And he was into it, and I said, "You know what? I think this is going to be really good."
Yeah.
And then they were back in the stands, and after one series, I'm hearing them behind us playing during the game, and
Well,
I thought they were great.
How was it afterwards with the band in the stands, and they're playing for you guys, and you guys all went over, and I've seen a lot of games here. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Yeah, I feel like that's building the culture around IUP. The football players getting after it and just showing love to one another. Each sports team and the band plays a big part. It's home opener, and I feel like it just sprung the energy for us.
What are you majoring in?
Communications media.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, I want your job.
Everybody wants my job.
Yeah, I know. They want mine too. Sometimes you could have it if you want.
Yeah, but you're what, 41-9 or something like that. You're in Coach Signetti territory right there. But well, that's great. It's a great opportunity, and we were just it was so much fun watching old-time football is what
Right.
it was Saturday, wasn't it? Offensive line, run the football, dictate the game. It's your style, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Well, I know the happiest guy in the world leaving the stadium after the game was Coach Campola.
I would think so.
All offensive line coaches love that kind of football. And it was funny, I got a text from a friend of mine. He said, you guys only caught 11 passes. I said, yeah, that's right. I said, we played old school football. We ran for 380 yards.
Unbelievable, yeah.
So, and part of it was they were really concerned about our pass game. But I would think if we were playing them this week coming up, they'd probably change what they did defensively, because we see and I mentioned this in the team meeting today to the team. We complementary football. When we turned it over on offense, defense stopped them. When they scored on offense, we got a good kickoff return from our special teams. So I said, but here's the thing: the defense has to remember is our offense had the ball for 36 minutes. With the ground game and running the ball and controlling the clock. So we didn't play. We only played 55 plays on Saturday on defense.
I saw that, yeah.
Because our offense controlled the game and they were on the field the whole game. So that's a big part of complementary football too, because, as an old defensive guy, the best defense is the one standing on the sideline not doing anything. You're not going to give up any points standing on the sideline. So the offense picked the defense up Saturday with the ball control and time of possession. So we had a good complementary football from really from the start to the end.
Dejour, I got to ask you this. As Coach mentioned about Coach Campola was a running back. So he became an offensive line coach, and a good one. I mean, he's produced a lot of great linemen here. So you have Jeff Arnold as your running backs coach, right? Who was an all-conference center here for 4 years. How's that worked out?
I feel like it works in a running back's favor because he is a lineman, so he gives us information that I guess some other schools don't give their other running backs, like keys, like footwork. He's really big on our footwork because our first back is major. Gives us, what can I say?
Well, kind of like the incentive to.
Yeah, the incentive. He reads to teaches defenses over, under fronts, 3 technique, 5 techniques.
Okay, that's experience.
Experience.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you guys, because it's pretty deep in running backs. Coach and I talked about. Like you guys all kind of get along.
Oh, we're a brotherhood. We support one another. We go hard at each other. We expect 100% effort out of all of us. We critique each other. We help each other on film. So we're with each other every day too. So we're a big brotherhood.
Somebody told me after, I think it was on Sunday, said Dejour's got to be really sore today after 32. The record's 44. And you're up in that territory with 32 carries. You welcome that type of thing?
Oh yes, I love it. As long as I keep my body right, just keep doing what I'm doing, and I feel like I'll be all right.
Well, after a couple of games, you lead the league, but I know that stuff is not all important to you. And that doesn't even count, 83-yard touchdown called back?
And he didn't play in the first game. He's only played 2 games.
Exactly, 2 games.
So, but he's a big part of our offense, and I've been here an awful long time. Our run game is what makes our offense go. And if we don't have it, you don't want to be one-dimensional and throwing the ball every play, because that's not going to get you very far.
No, and then you got a guy at quarterback that's got a heck of an arm, and that has got to keep everybody on their toes, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for coming over. I appreciate it. And
thanks for having me.
Maybe sometime when you have your show, you might invite me back.
Of course.
Be good. All right. Good. Yeah, he's good. That's for sure. I like him on the field there. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Let's leave the playing to him and the communications and the broadcasting to you for right now.
For a while, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, for a while. All right, we're going to be back with you. Hawk Talk with Dejour Stewart, Coach Paul Tortorella, and we'll return to Hawk Talk. We've got another segment coming your way, and we'll return on U92Radio.com and also on YouTube on Renda Digital TV.
At IRMC, we have all of the necessary pieces in place to perform complex operations, including highly skilled and specially trained surgeons, their support team of experts, and advanced technology like the Da Vinci robotic surgical system. As a result, patients spend less time in the hospital, recover faster, and get treated close to home. So there's no reason to puzzle over where you should get your surgical care. The answer is right here at IRMC.
Your home is you. It says who you are. For that difference you want, you don't have to look far.
Shop now for big savings. Visit Dalles of Plumville and Dalles of Greensburg.
Come and discover the Dalles difference. Doesn't your home deserve Dalles?
Welcome back, everybody. We're at the C.H. Crafts Kitchen at the Hilton Garden Inn. Jack Benedict here with Hawk Talk with Coach Paul Tortorella. Coming up Saturday, 4-0 Slippery Rock, 3-0 IUP. Homecoming, 2 o'clock kickoff. So we look at the two teams here. Both undefeated. We've gone through all these things so many times before. What I see right now is Slippery Rock, we got to stop IUP's running game. And am I right, IUP, we got to slow down their passing game. Is that then a fair assessment?
Yeah, in a certain way. They still have 2 really good running backs, and if you just do like Mercyhurst did against us, they'll run the ball. I mean, they can run for 200 yards. They have 2 good running backs. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, the starter from last year, I don't really know how or why, but he's actually their 3rd running back this year. So they got a sophomore, Dejour, number 6, and then they've got a transfer from Lackawanna, bigger back, number 41. So those are their first 2 running backs. So, I mean, we better – the key when you play teams that are very effective passing, you can't let them run the ball, because then you'll never stop the pass, because you got to worry too much about the run. So if you can play your base defense – and still hold up against the run and play the pass, that's the best way to go. Much like on their side, they're saying, yeah, we got to stop the run first and foremost, but we just can't sell out because then you're talking about one-on-one with Dwayne Brown on a DB. So it'll be a little bit of both for both sides.
Their quarterback, Noah Grover, came on at the end of last year and took over. He had an amazing game, 8 touchdowns in one game. I looked, you and I have talked about transfers. People say, well, sometimes, IUPL's all these transfers. I think you have 15 on your roster, if I counted correctly.
That might be even a little high. But
okay. They've got 30, when I counted. So.
Well, on defense, I believe they have 7 transfers starting. And then on offense, not as many, but I think, the quarterback, the second running back,
one of their wideouts.
Two of their wideouts
are
transfers. One from Lackawanna, one from North Dakota that was with the quarterback. Obviously, the quarterback's a transfer. Their O-line, there aren't any transfers in there. Their tight end's not a transfer. So I want to say they have 12 transfers starting maybe. But they had to do that because what people don't understand is they had 22 seniors last year, because of COVID that carried over. And now they go into a season and they lose 22 seniors, and I would probably be willing to bet 14 of them were starters. So if you don't go and plug in transfers right away, you're playing with a bunch of true freshmen. Now, that's kind of what we did on defense last year, but we didn't have to do that on offense. So it's kind of like it's like the year when COVID hit. The year before that, we had a lot of seniors. So actually, the worst, I know COVID was terrible. It was actually the best possible time for us because we had lost all our seniors. So we were kind of like restarting again, and then we had a year off. So down the road, that didn't really catch up to us. So it's just the timing of it. They got hit. They were ready to bring back all these seniors for the COVID year, and then they had COVID. So last year was their last year, and they had 22 of them. They brought them all back, and they had all the wideouts. They had Wynn and the Sweeting and
the wideouts,
and they had the other wideout that was a senior.
Irvin.
No, I can't remember his name, but he was
the 3 of them
he was really good. They had 3 senior wideouts last year. 2 of them were transfers. They were seniors. They've been playing for 3-4 years for him. Litwin.
Yeah.
Great player, All-American.
Yeah.
So they lost Litwin. They lost the Sweeting. They lost Alderson brought his transfer, who was a really great player for him. His name. I can't remember his name right now. He was a great player. So they lost 3 terrific wideouts.
They were combination.
And they
really
got
good.
Sheets back, who was a starter, and now they've replaced them with a transfer from Lackawanna, Cohen Russell, who can fly. He's from State College. Little guy, really fast. The other receiver, number 7, is the transfer from North Dakota. He's kind of a complete receiver. So they kind of didn't rebuild. They kind of brought guys in that were ready to play rather than playing young guys. The starting running back was there as a freshman last year. I think he was the number 2 back. Now he's the starter. He's only a sophomore, but they recruited him from the state of Florida. He was a high school kid. And then obviously the quarterback's a transfer from North Dakota. So, and then defensively, they got 2 linebackers who are really good. Hayden and Bischoff, they're both transfers. Marks inside is their down guy that was a transfer from Navy, but he's been there a long time.
Yeah, Jeff Marks.
Yep. And they've got 2 great defensive backs. The one is a transfer from Ashland, and the other one's a transfer from Tiffin. They're both senior transfers. I don't know if they're grad transfers or they're just senior transfers, but they're both really good players. So, when you look at it, they've not rebuilt, they reloaded, so to speak.
Yeah. You mentioned about talking about their secondary. With your secondary, is there still a competition there where you're trying to find the right combo of who might solidify there?
Yeah, we're closer to settling in on the 6 that we're going to play. we're still not consistent enough back there. We had a couple breakdowns, obviously the one early in the game, and then later in the game off a scramble, we had a breakdown back there. And we got to get, we got to get that cleaned up. I mean, teams are going to complete passes. Teams are going to make first downs. We just can't give up a big pass by not playing the right coverage and breaking down off of quarterback scramble and some of those type of plays.
I had a fan text me earlier today, said, ask Coach, fan wants to know, does Mac Sexton remind you of any previous PSAC quarterbacks that you've been around in all these years?
He this goes back a ways. Trevor Harris.
Somebody brought that up.
From
Trevor
Edinburgh. Mm-hmm. If I had to pick somebody that we've played against, I would probably say him. And their offense that they ran back then was very comparable to the offense that we run now. So if I had to say it, that probably would be the guy.
That's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah, he's had a great career in the Canadian League.
Yeah.
Right.
Fabulous career, that's for sure. Well, this should be another exciting weekend, which is what we look forward to. And with homecoming and all, there should be a big crowd again. I would think Slippery Rock would bring their band. They've done that in the past, and what we've talked about with what IUP is doing. So you can't really ask for much more. Especially the key is keep these guys healthy during the week.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're as healthy as we've been all year, and we're only into our fourth week. We had a couple injuries in preseason camp. We didn't play with 3 starters in the first game. We got a little bit healthier and then had a couple guys go down against Ship. Didn't play with a couple guys on Saturday. But we should have everybody back. Unfortunately, the Lockhart injury is it's a season-ending injury. But other than that one, which is a big blow to us, he was a great compliment to Dwayne. But Ridley stepped up. Carter's back healthy. Isaiah Hauser has made some plays for us. We do have 3 tight ends. Laney made a couple plays Saturday on third down in a pass game. So, and as long as we're running the ball, that'll open up the pass game. We want to stay ahead of the sticks. It's a lot easier to make a first down on 3rd and 5 than it is on 3rd and 10. And I think that's what happens. That's what happened last Saturday. In the first half, we were 0 for 4 on 3rd down. We weren't in great 3rd down situations. We went 5 for 5 in the second half, and we were in all really manageable 3rd down. We hit Laney on 2 7-yard passes. They were both first downs. We ran the ball one time on 3rd and 7 and made a first down. So, it's hard to run the ball on 3rd and 10 and 12 and think you're going to make a first down. So you're kind of one-dimensional. But if you can get, 3rd and 4 to 6, you can run it. You don't have to throw the ball down the field. You can throw the ball actually to a back out of the backfield, and you can run for the first down. You got your whole playbook. When you get to 3rd and 8, 10, 12, it kind of limits what you can do.
Yeah. You brought up, and I just wanted to follow up with Derek Lockhart, who transferred from Cal and had a great game against IUP last year. So, unfortunately, he gets hurt, and you mentioned about he's done for the year. But he seems to really engage himself in this team. I see it at practice. And
it's funny you say that.
And you're smiling, and I see the way he does it at the game.
On the touchdown to Dwayne, that made it 10-7.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Dwayne comes running off to the sideline, and Lockhart's got a brace on, a brace on his whole leg, and he's jumping up in the air and whatever, chest bumping with him. And I looked at Mark Wolf, our trainer, and I just gave him this look like, this guy's going to get surgery here in like 4 days? I mean, he jumped up, chest bumped him, landed, I guess he landed on his good leg, but
that's scary.
I was like, Diggy, I mean, we love the enthusiasm, but don't blow your other knee.
I saw that.
I'm glad you saw it because nobody else kind of saw it. I noticed it right away.
I saw it. I watched Dwayne come off, and a lot of times I'm taking notes or whatever after a touchdown. And I thought, because, a couple years ago I was doing an Indiana High game, and the coach, Brandon Overdorf.
Yeah, it happens.
He
Guys
leaped in the air, he comes
and
down.
they get hurt. Yeah.
He was done he's coaching from a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you've already lost a year, please.
Right.
But you got to love the enthusiasm.
Oh, it's great. And here's a guy that's only been here 3 months. Well, not even 2 months. And he's so into it, and he's all in, and he's, he understands the situation. He knows he's going to be back next year. He's a great teammate, great enthusiasm, is helping coach some of those younger receivers. And the thing, a lot of our guys do a great job coaching the younger guys. And the way they do it, it's they don't, like, our coaches are coaching the younger guys. They're kind of coaching the younger guys from a player's perspective. Like, hey, I know what you're seeing right there, but, like Coach said, you got an outside release on that because you got to open up the inside for the inside receiver. And just things like that. All the positions. I hear, as we're in practice and everybody's coaching and I'm kind of trying to analyze and watch everything, I hear a lot of our older guys coaching up the younger guys, and that's really good. That's really great culture.
I was going to bring this up. I mentioned we have a couple of minutes left, but I mentioned it to you before we went on. So I'm watching the game here, describing the game, whatever, and all the players for IUP are down this way, and Coach Tortorella's over that way, all by himself, just kind of taking in the game and see what.
I try at times. Sometimes you can have too many guys talking on the phones.
I could see that happen.
So every once in a while, I'll stand on the other end and just listen and try to manage the game from a different perspective. And I'm on the phones more with the defense and probably communicating a lot more with the defense. Offensively, I'm not on it as much, and I try to not get in the way, actually, in that sometimes during a game when you get to a certain point in the game, it's time to step away and let your coaches work. And that's probably the time you've seen me.
I'm amazed by football coaches, how you guys get everything the way you do.
Right.
There's so many people involved, so many things. I mean, I'm only hearing myself. You're hearing all kinds of things. It's just amazing to me how anything gets done.
You'll like this one. In a meeting this morning, this happens a lot. It happened when I had been in the box at times, but I've been on the field mostly here in the last 20 years as a coordinator and now as the head coach. I told the guys in the box at the meeting today, I said, look, you can explain what's going on out there, but will you please stop telling me they're holding this guy and they're holding that guy? Because what do you want me to do? I can't do anything about it. And if they don't call it, they don't call it.
Yeah.
Like, don't even waste your breath that they're holding Fowler, they're holding number 30, they're holding. And I told them today, I'm like, forget that. What am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. The officials,
exactly.
There's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't do any of us any good to even harp on that. Like players, I tell our players, they'll be out there and they'll come off to the sideline and I'm getting held. Well, don't let them hold you. Don't let them hold you. Get separation. Use your hands. Get them off of you. Okay, yeah, they're holding you, but it's not getting called, so don't worry about it. And it's the same thing when you're watching a game from the press box. We don't need a play-by-play on how we're getting held. We can see it just like you can. And a couple guys got a kick out of it this morning. They started laughing, but I was dead serious.
Well, you have some young coaches.
Yeah,
on there
and
too.
they're great. I mean, our guys in the box see things. Like you need guys in the box that can see, because they see the field. When you're in the box, you see the field better. Obviously, you know that from being in the box.
Yes.
And you're on the sideline in practice most of the time,
yes.
So you see the difference. You cannot see the game as well on the field as you can in the box.
I've said this for years in calling basketball. Where now I am at courtside now, and believe me, I love it at the KCAC. But for years, I always preferred to be up above because you could see.
Yeah, right.
You could see much better. Now I do like that closeness with the players in basketball. But you're right, in football, you're better off.
The guys in the box can see everything. the guys on the field can only see what they see, but they've got to make the adjustments on the bench. They've got to do the communication.
Sure.
But the guys that are really seeing what's going on are up in the box. So they've got to, they can't just look at one thing. They kind of got to look at a couple different things. Like, for instance, we'll have a guy that watches the front, a guy that watches the secondary. On offense, we'll have a guy that watches our front, a guy that watches the perimeter. Because you don't want all of them looking at the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like a play-by-play man,
right?
And
exactly.
an analyst.
So, I mean, all the staffs and coaches, I'm sure, talk about it. And some coordinators like to be on top and see everything. Some coordinators like to be down on the field because they can make all their adjustments and communicate better with the players and signal and maybe get calls in faster. But a lot of guys that call plays on offense and guys that call defense like to be in the box because they can see everything.
Sure.
So it's just whatever you feel better with.
Well, it's amazing to me. It all happens. Well, make it all work on Saturday, and we'll go out and have some fun.
I hope so. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Coach. Coach Paul Tortorella, thanks to Dejour Stewart. Looking forward to watching him again on Saturday. We'll be with you on Saturday on U92Radio.com at 1:30 kickoff, 2 o'clock, homecoming. Thank you one and all to the crew here. Jack Benedict, have a Major League night.
The Co-op store has the largest selection of IUP gifts and apparel. The Co-op is always there with its convenient location and hours. The Co-op store has been serving IUP and the Indiana community since 1933, and all profits are returned to the students through campus programs and activities. The Co-op has all your campus needs from the dorm to the classroom. Visit us online at www.iupstore.com.